In the winter of 1941, Nazi Germany stood closer to victory than ever before. Across Europe, armies had fallen in weeks. Now, one final prize remained the heart of the Soviet Union, Moscow, for decades. One question has echoed through history. How far did the Germans really get? The answer is closer and more complex than most people realize. On June 22, 1941, Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in human history. Nearly 4 million Axis troops surged eastward across a front stretching from the Baltic to the Black Sea. Hitler believed the Soviet Union would collapse before winter. Moscow, the political, industrial, and symbolic center of Soviet power, was the ultimate objective. Army Group Center, the strongest of the German formations, was tasked with taking the city. Early victories at Minsk and Smolensk destroyed entire Soviet armies. The road to Moscow appeared wide open. It seemed as though nothing could stop the German war machine. But then, the advance stalled. This wasn't just because of growing Soviet strength, but because of a crucial German decision. In August 1941, Hitler made a fateful choice. He diverted armored forces south toward Kiev and north toward Leningrad. These operations were tactically successful, encircling hundreds of thousands of Soviet soldiers, but they cost time, a precious time. When the main push toward Moscow finally resumed in October, under the code name Operation Typhoon, the season had turned. The autumn rains, known as the Rasputitsa, had arrived. Roads dissolved into thick, impassable mud. Vehicles bogged down, unable to move. Supply lines, already stretched to their breaking point, became almost non-existent. The German blitzkrieg, a strategy built on speed, was literally stuck in the mud. Despite the mud, the Germans renewed their assault in October. Once again, massive Soviet formations were encircled at Vyazma and Bryansk. Hundreds of thousands were captured. By all accounts, it looked like the final blow. Yet the Red Army did not collapse. New units seemed to appear out of nowhere. Factories evacuated east of the Ural Mountains continued to churn out weapons and tanks. In Moscow itself, civilians, including women and children, dug miles of anti-tank trenches and fortifications. Then, as November arrived, the weather changed again. Temperatures plunged. For German soldiers who lacked proper winter clothing, it was a nightmare. Engines froze solid. Weapons malfunctioned in the extreme cold. By early December 1941, German advance units reached the furthest points of the entire campaign, near the village of Khimki, just northwest of Moscow. Reconnaissance elements of the German 2nd Panzer Division came within approximately 20–25 kilometers of the Kremlin. In certain sectors, German artillerymen could hear the faint sounds of the city. But let's be clear, no German unit ever entered Moscow itself. The popular idea that German soldiers fought in the streets of the city is a myth. What is absolutely true, however, is that no enemy force, before or since, had ever come so close to conquering Moscow. Why couldn't they go further? The German army was utterly exhausted. Divisions were operating at a fraction of their original strength. Supply shortages were critical. They were low on food, ammunition, and most importantly, fuel. Frostbite casualties were mounting at an alarming rate, sometimes outnumbering combat losses. They had pushed themselves to the absolute limit. At the same time, the Soviets were preparing a massive surprise. Thanks to intelligence from their spy, Richard Sorge, Stalin learned that Japan would not attack from the east. This freed up dozens of fresh divisions from Siberia. These were troops fully equipped and trained for winter warfare. The Battle of Moscow marked the first major strategic defeat of Nazi Germany in the Second World War.